Recently, Amit Sharma's Maidaan has faced some controversies regarding distortion of some facts. Maidaan is a historical sports drama which is said to be based upon the performance of Indian football team in the Olympics and Asian Games. Today we are going to shed light upon the controversies it raised and we'll see if the controversies have any element of truth in it or not. Firstly, Maidaan is a 10-year-old journey of a man named Syed Abdul Rahim, in short Rahim Saheb, played by Ajay Devgan, who is the coach of national football team of India. From the first outlook, it seems clear that he is a highly respected man among the young footballers, but not so respected among bureaucrats and politicians. The chairperson, who is popularly known as Anjanda, played by veteran theatre actor Baharul Islam, appreciates the coach for his knowledge and commitment, but the others, led by Shubhankar, played by Rudraneel, an important person in the football committee, always stands against the coach in any manner and means possible. Despite a huge loss of 10-1 suffered against Yugoslavia in the 1952 Olympic Games, Rahim Saheb continues to be the coach of Indian football team with the support of the chairperson. The coach defended himself with a few arguments, one of which started the first controversy. Rahim Saheb blamed the committee for not getting the team he wanted. It may seem in the movie that due to this reason India lost to Yugoslavia by this huge margin and was at the rock bottom, but it seems untrue. India hosted the 1951 Asian Games, which was just 1 year before the disaster, in which they defeated Iran by 1-0 in the final. So India wasn't the weakest team in Asia by any means. And you just don't win tournaments of such magnitude with any team selected by the committee and not by the coach. So India was not at the bottom of their football history by any means. The main reason could be the lack of professionalism in some sectors, one of which is India at the time played barefoot. Rahim Saheb insisted every player to play with football shoes. Well, that was a revolutionary thing at that time, but Indian players did not enjoy playing with their boots on. Even the Football Federation of India was reluctant in the implementation of shoe policy. It is a common knowledge that in domestic club football, tournaments giants like East Bengal and Mohun Bagan players played barefoot. This is one huge lack of professionalism costed India in international tournaments with recurrence of failures. One other thing we have to mention is that Yugoslavia was one of the strongest teams in Europe. They won silver medal in 1948, 1952 and 1956 Olympics and then won gold in 1960 Olympics. So playing against them was a kind of honor for India, let alone the loss. Let's come to our second controversy with facts. This movie has got way too much factual misrepresentation which can lead to distortion of the element of truth, one of which has happened in the Melbourne Olympics against Australia. The match against Australia ended with 4-2, a win for India. The game was a very competitive one. The first half ended a square with 2-2. Neville D'Souza scored in the 50th minute to give India an edge. The lead was extended by Krishnaswamy in the 18th minute. In the movie, Australians were racist, which I have no issue with because it may have happened or the director can exercise his liberty to pump up the audience, but the match ended with 4-0, which was bizarre. India lost to Yugoslavia again in the semi-final by 4-1, the only goal scored while Neville D'Souza. This was and still stands as one of the greatest achievements of Indian football. Neville D'Souza was the joint top scorer of the tournament with 4 goals and a hat-trick against Australia. They should have mentioned that. The next controversy is related to the 1960 Olympics. India was in a tough group with Hungary, France and Peru. The toughest game was against Hungary, which India lost 2-1. It was a competitive game. Legends has it that India created storms in the Hungary box in the last 10 minutes. Everybody knew Hungary at that time was the toughest team in Europe. A defeat of such close margin was in itself the biggest achievement. We should not forget Hungary defeated France and Peru with a score of 7-0 and 6-2 and went on to win the bronze medal. Another stellar performance was against France, which India should have won. The match ended a 1-1 draw, conceding an own goal at the 88th minute. The goal was credited to Gerard Concon, a young French footballer. Balaram was brilliant in that tournament. He scored 2 goals. India received applause for their performance in home and abroad. India got the nickname Brazil of Asia, which is appreciable, but we should not overestimate ourselves. We should not take it literally. At that time, South Korea was the best team in Asia alongside Indonesia. Japan was neither a big force back then nor Iran. India was a competitive side. We fought well and won a few medals, but that did not make us the best team in the Asia. 1960 Olympic result was probably the best achievement of our country on foreign grounds, though it ended with an elimination in the group stages. The event this movie focuses on the most is 1962 Asian Games, which held in Jakarta, Indonesia. This was the last chance for coach Rahim Saheb to salvage something. I have used the word salvage on purpose because India as a footballing nation was struggling with corruption and negligence on behalf of the National Football Committee as shown in the movie. In reality, it was not the case, I think. Though India was struggling with a lot of issues back then, which are mostly economical and geopolitical, which may have affected the team in some way, but the achievement of coach Rahim Saheb was treated with utmost regard at that time. One fact this movie highlighted with pinpoint accuracy is India's stand against the Indonesia's policy for disqualifying Taiwan and Israel from the tournament. In the advent of tremendous political pressure from China, the participation of Taiwan as an independent country raised too many questions, which resulted in their disqualification. The same approach was taken with Israel due to age-old Islamic conflicts between the Middle Eastern countries. Both countries, however, were members of International Olympic Committee and were recognized by AGFC, Asian Games Federation Congress. Gurudutt Sodhi, Indian representative for AGFC, rightly stood against the decision, which created mayhem in all over Indonesia. The situation became so intense that the Indonesian government unofficially requested all airlines not to sell Sodhi a ticket. GD Sodhi was secretly sent back to India on the advice of Indonesian government. Indian team members faced opposition on everywhere throughout the country, whether it is shopping mall or football field. On September 3, 2000 people attacked the Indian embassy, destroyed and tore furniture, important documents, even they dishonored the Indian national flag. Luckily, Sodhi was not present in the embassy that day. The Indian ambassador and Sodhi received death threats for numerous times. On September 4, 1962, on the day of the final, India team bus was attacked by rioters. Due to the uniqueness of the turban, Jarnail Singh was requested to sit on the floor of the bus to avoid stone pelters. Rahim Saheb did his best to motivate players. He even sang patriotic songs and told them to be fearless. India entered the Senayan Stadium with tight security. The stadium was overflowing with more than 100,000 hostile Indonesians. Against all odds, India started the final. The factual fallacies were there from the first game. India's first choice keeper Peter Thangaraj had a training injury, hence the place was taken up by Pradyut Burman. It was shown in the movie that Pradyut's outing was terrible, and because of this poor performance, India conceded 4 goals, which was untrue. Because of Pradyut's brilliance, India managed to keep her loss restricted to 2-0. Apart from Jarnail, the team looked terrible. This was a huge blow to the mentality of Indian players. India bounced back in the second game by defeating Thailand 4-1. Jarnail Singh, after scoring a goal, had a crushing head injury. Though he was the strongest man in the side, but the injury was too much for him to continue, so he was sidelined. He later received 6 stitches. India defeated Japan in the next game by 2-0, which was a convincing win. Scorers were PK Banerjee and Balaram. In the semi-finals, India faced South Vietnam. In the movie, India were 0-2 down at the half-time and managed to come back strongly from the position to win a game with a score of 3-2. Jarnail didn't play the game, but in reality Jarnail did play. He was back in the heat after missing one game, but with stitches and scored a brace. Actually, India was leading the game at the halftime with 2-0, and South Vietnam came back strongly to make it even with 2-2. India went on to score the third on the 75th minute thanks to the skipper Chuni Goswami, which led India to the finals. In the final game, India scored 2 early goals thanks to PK Banerjee and Jarnail Singh in the 17th and 20th minute, respectively. This was the 4th goal by PK and 3rd by the defender Jarnail. India didn't concede up to 85th minute until South Korea managed to put one back. India won the game by 2-1. In the movie, Jarnail and Thangaraj were making a comeback in the side. Despite his brilliance in front of the goal throughout the tournament, Pradyut Burman was benched that day by coach Rahim. Reasons were Thangaraj's flamboyant play style was quite famous in the Asian circuit. His long throws and kicking the ball into opponent's penalty box was famous. Higher authorities pressured Rahim Saheb to bench Burman despite his brilliant efforts. Till this day, It is said by the legends of Indian football and critics that Burman was the most unfortunate footballer in the history of Indian football. All this is absolutely true and was displayed in the movie. But the controversy came when it was showed that India was 1-0 down at the halftime. I don't know if the mistakes made in the movie were intentional or not. The director can although look for creative choices in order to make the project interesting, but does distortion of facts apply to historical event of such grand scale? Because in future, many football lovers will take these facts displayed in the movie as gospels. The creator did an incredible job in the visual departments. The way they have created these live football matches is nothing short of brilliant. The strong emotions behind the fight displayed in the ground by Indian footballers perfectly resonates with the heart of a common football fan. The creator sincerely projected Rahim Saheb's team in the heat and their fight against all the odds possible, which was able to extract the love for the country and patriotism from the core of the viewers. Patriotism has become a common theme for most of the Indian cinema these days, but in this case, it has been articulated properly. Tremendous efforts were put into the picturization and creation of these games. Ajay Devgan did a splendid job as the protagonist. In the later half of the movie, whenever Rudraneel as Shubhankar entered the frame, we experienced boiled blood. Antagonist Gajraj Rao as senior editor Roy Choudhury was truly convincing. Priyamani as Rahim Saheb's wife has not much to do. The stereotypes as foreigners have unfortunately remained the same as previous films. Every white skinny man is a racist. Narrative has to change now. With a few mistakes, Maidaan is still a riveting and stunning watch. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.